Yo.
The title, Bribery, Obstruction of Justice. Sign me up! All of a sudden now, CM is flexing that cop shit, right? Wasn't he the first one to bring all these people out? He was, wasn't he? Isn't he the first one to bring out SA victims? Now he's posting that if you contact the SA victim, you're going to be charged. Isn't that rare? Chris M. Sir. What the hell are you doing? You do know police work off of the element of surprise, right? So for you to come out and say the SA cases have officially been filed, and now anyone that reaches out to an SA victim for a suspect, he's going to have slander eyes with the extent of his expired laws, right? I mean, this is strange, right? He must have run scared last night when Mary was on shares. I think so. See, we know that Chris M has actually broken many cyber laws, right? We know that. It's just a matter of time. So what do we think, guys? Do we think this is a game? How do we get affirmation that this is really a game? I think we just got it from Chris M. This is a game. The police work on the element of surprise, right? Now, putting out there that there will soon be some sort of hypothetical problem for Don on YouTube completely eliminates all the element of surprise, Chris. So I call BS. Now, I just call BS, sir. Do you see the bipolarity? That's it. He gets to mess with the victims, but others, it's over. It's completely over. Well, guess what, Chris? You're going to have to sign me up, sir. Just because Benny Hinn said he was all the way above the books didn't necessarily make it so, did it? So, there are ways that you can voice your displeasure with what Chris is doing. One way you can do that is you can Google Cold Case Foundation. And you can find the founder there. He's in there. Mr. Greg somebody. Start emailing him about the conduct of one of his organization members. The other thing that you can do is, I believe you can reach out to the Fraternal Order of Police, and you can make a you can shout, scream, and holler at them folks. He does need to give it up. What he is doing and has done is it's an abomination as well. I know that these women, and you know, we're not going to talk at length about SA here because that's not why I started. I didn't start any of this saying, oh well, you know what? I'm going to support him on his SA, or on his not on his SA. Support him on the abduction of his daughter, but as soon as someone digs up something from his past, we'll go ahead and we'll switch sides. That's not what I'm doing. That's not what I'm doing at all. I didn't come here to defend Don in front of his in front of his accusers. That's not what I'm here for. I'm not equipped to handle that. That's heavy lifting, and that's not for me to do, right? So, you know, take it for what it is. What it isn't is me defending anything or anyone related with an SA. I'm not here to do that. That's not why I started defending victims' rights, and this is going to be a prime example in some textbook, in some clinical way. This is going to show the dangers of the social media on your average criminal case, right? Now, let's not confuse ourselves and say that this one is so crazy from every other sort of abduction or whatever. They're all crazy, right? They all have an element of crazy when a child goes missing, right? Hit the like button, guys. I don't ask you for no money. I don't ask you to donate to nothing. Man, go ahead and hit that like button, man. That's what we can do around here. So, what are we expecting here? Now, I've been preaching all along that these two cases would never meet each other in a court in the light of day, and they won't, right, guys? We can see that these cases, you know, I don't know where they all originated from. I know that a lot of these things are going on in Utah, right? So those would just never come up together just by sheer geography, right? But what you have to be very careful of is disrupting justice publicly, right? Because when these things are coinciding in time, they're coincidental in time, unless you're trained yourself to have trained yourself to be unbiased, there's no way you can be unbiased. You automatically, if he's good for this one, then he's got to be good for this one, and that is just not how justice actually works. But that's exactly, see, all of this stuff, Chris knows, should have been done privately, right? Like, you don't circumvent both of these things to each other. It's not how it works, right? Chris could have been much more effective, I believe. See, Chris, it's not just, thank you, Chair, it's not just the few women that you're parading around that are watching this, Chris. It's thousands of other women being triggered by your behavior. And so what you're doing, sir, is you're showing all of the public that you care more about the 7 you're parading around that could bring you accolades than you do the tens of thousands that watch this stuff that are survivors and have had no justice and get no peace, right? So what's actually going on here? Hoo-ah, hoo-ah. we want blood that bad. We want blood that bad that we don't care who sheds it for us. We just want to see it. We just want to see it. Do you actually believe an expired cop can draw all the definitive lines and say, hey, after today, no one can do what I've been doing for 2 months? You're an abomination, sir. Abomination, sir. You are the worst excuse for a man and a husband. Boy, oh boy. I know people doing life in prison got more fucking sand than you. Sorry. That's the first one. I know people in prison got more sand than you. You're a joke. Sign me up for obstruction of justice. Sign me up right now, because you opened all this up, but you don't have the authority to close it. That's what I know, sir. You opened all this up, and now you've got the masses of women telling you, Chris, you're disgusting, and the only thing that you can do is throw out one of these weak threats like you've done about an hour ago, where you're like, anyone that further discusses this case online, you're going to be charged with felony obstruction of justice. Boy, if you don't sit your ass down, boy, that's number 2. If you don't sit down somewhere, boy, man, look here. How in the good H-E-double-L, that doesn't count. How in the H-E-double-L is this man calling for police officials to charge people with obstruction when he's the chief obstructionist? Can you even see what is going on here? He's the chief obstructionist, but he now wants to call to action. Boy, if you don't shut your ass up, boy, thank you, Kitty. Boy, if you don't sit your simple ass down somewhere, boy, man, look here. You got life in the game rearranged, sir. I would never stand down. I will stand down when them FBI agents come to my door and they got their handcuffs in their hands. And they say, now you got an opportunity to make a choice, Mr. Lindsay. Dementia McDonald. You now have the choice. If they come to my house and they don't have their handcuffs in their hands, I'm not playing ball. I'm not going to play ball. That means they want to come here and they want to lean on my First Amendment. Chris, you're not going to lean on my First Amendment. You tried that already. You already tried to send plain old police to my house, detectives, and tell them I need to shut up. I don't like Mr. Lindsay. Mr. Lindsay is too smart about the law. He knows too damn much about it. That's number 3. I'm giving myself to 5. Once I hit 5, I'm gone. I am off of here. That is making up the rules as you go, sir, and that is not the way the law works. There is no threshold, I repeat, no threshold for when cases are filed and now we need to shut up. Guess what, Chris? You should have shut up about 80 days ago. You're such a joke, sir. You're such a joke. You know, I would start to say that a lot of this behavior is being caused by an American man that's Caucasian between the ages of 40 and 80 who has an issue and needs a blue pill. That's what I'm seeing. This is that. I'm going to do a sex panel diagnosis. This is my official diagnosis. This stuff you're seeing online is due to a man that is impotent. Who just hit with the 5? Kitty! Let's stick it out. Let's stick it out. I don't know what his problem is, but I'm just going to start there. I'm going to start with the fact that it could be anatomy and not his brain. I'm not going to go right to here and say he's all messed up. I'm going to say he's messed up down here, and that conflicts the way that he thinks up here. What I see is a simple man who never was important to a lot of women, and now he's feeling really important to a lot of women. And he doesn't know how to handle it. He cannot handle it responsibly. Chris has no personality management skills, right? There's no way he can hide. This guy has the most devious, undertoned smile I've ever seen. It's one of these. It's like he eats flesh at nighttime or something. I don't know. But he definitely is getting off on all of this, right? You are not seeing Chris M. lose not a half a wink of sleep during all of this, right? Because he's not worried about anything to do with summer. Tell us, Chris. Tell us, Chris. Tell us, Chris. What's the good news on the summer case, Chris? Because guess what, Chris? The way you've mingled these two cases together, no court in the land is ever going to listen to what you say, first of all. But secondly, you've convoluted all of this, right? You've created this. This is your love child, Chris. M, this is your love child, sir. And you want to lay it to sleep forever now? You can't. You've made that impossible, sir. All he wants for Christmas is for us to be quiet, for us to be quiet, for us to be quiet. All Chris wants for Christmas. Man, he's gonna get sued so long and hard. Let me tell you what. Let me tell you what. Let me tell you what. Hold the pickles, hold the lettuce. Special orders, don't upset us. You think this is just a drive-through for fun, don't you, sir? Right? See, Chris doesn't even reasonably know. Chris doesn't even reasonably know that a detective should know the 14th Amendment, which houses the law, the penal code, that you may not. He doesn't even know what it is to be a cop. He said that. He said, oh, I messed over Michael Crow because I didn't know I couldn't interview a 14-year-old boy without his parents. But actually I did know because I lied about it. He knew. He's a snake. His interest is not for justice. Right? His interest was proving that his career field, he was a voice stress test analyzer, y'all. He went over, he consulted on another case that didn't have nothing to do with his business at all. And he wanted to go rock hard for his voice stress test analyzer, right? So what did he do? He went over there and he went hard. He went hard, just rock hard. Maybe the reason why there's just no rock solid is now is because he wasted it all on cases that just hoo-ah. Guess what? I too know some other detectives, Chris, that have an exoneration rate as well. Essentially, any detective that ever tried to pull a case against me, he's got an exoneration rate because I beat them all, baby. I beat them all, baby. I beat them all, baby. Right? What is it all good for? Right? Well, guess what? It's almost like you get a get out of free jail, get out of jail free card. It's like you get a get out of jail free card when you've ever been screwed over by the judicial system, right? Because what you get is you get the understanding and you get the education and you get the know-how to thwart the system after that, right? Once you've been done wrong, you see the cheat code, you see the inside, you see the guts of what it takes just to poke holes in reasonable doubt from there on out, right? You also learn these same lessons when you're guilty, right? You're going to court with folks that are innocent. You know, you sell up with folks that are innocent. It is a problem in American penitentiaries that it's a lot of people in there innocent, right? It's a lot of people in there that had to, plead to this charge in order to get out of a charge that they didn't have an active role in, right? And so that's a misjustice, right? That's it's like a negligent fire from a handgun, right? When you allow something to just run rampant and it's so to speak, it takes its own course. That's not justice, right? When it's outside of the bounds of justice, all this is outside the bounds of justice. All of this is outside the bounds of justice, right? All of it. I mean, none of this is happening in a court, but what we do have is we have real aspects and facets of criminal cases that have been made public, right? So now, guess what? All the people in that county in Utah is tainted now, right? We've been only talking about the potential hypothetical Don or Candace or whoever be charged with this crime, right? So now you start to look at the SA circumventing, right? The SAs didn't circumvent it, right? Do we think that there's no one in Utah that's watching these? Oh no, we know a lot of people from Utah are watching this unfold in the very county that Chris M. wants Don to be charged in, right? So now what we're looking at is an issue where if this ever goes to a court of law in Utah, Don has already had he's had his civil rights removed and tampered with, right? He will no longer have the right to intelligently pick a jury of his peers. He loses that now. It's still available to him, but he'd be a fool to try to put his freedom on the backs of 12 good people that have witnessed all the ugly shit. Oop, that's 4. All the ugly stuff on the YouTube, right? So you immediately start to weigh your prosecutorial risk management against the circumventing of the cases. You're like, wow, what we don't want to do is we don't want victims to think that we can't get justice for them. So what we do is we just decide not to file on these cases that have been circumvented, because if we bring a conglomeration, if you will, of cases, and they've been circumvented online, we know that we can't get a suitable justice for either party. Justice isn't just for the victims. When the gavel goes down, justice is now being served out for all parties. Don would be getting his justice for the SAs, and the family would be getting their justice for the SAs, right? So, have we created a situation that now Chris M. sees that we can't get justice? We're not going to be able to get justice for the SAs because we've circumvented all of the information, and that now a judge may potentially rule by default, or not even rule at all, because he's like, nah, I'm not gonna pull these people through it, or any number of things, right? There begins to be a plethora of reasons why prosecutors wouldn't pick up these cases. It's none of it has to do with protecting victims, right? A lot of it's going to have to do with prosecutorial conviction rates, so on and so forth. So when you have somebody that's supposed to be serving justice, worrying about what their numbers for re-election look like, you could never ask someone to be completely biased towards any situation, because the fight is always, when you're a prosecutor and a DA, the fight is always to get somebody locked up, right? Let the appeal people figure that out, though, right? We're not worried about folks, getting a fair shake at a fair jury in the beginning. We're worried about folks, bringing it home on an appeal, right? Because those are different courts, right? So, hey, monkey. I'm sure he does. All the times he's probably told that dog that he's gonna do something he didn't do, boy, it runs rampant there, boy. Let me tell you, boy. Hold on, y'all. Man, there it goes again. 214. Man, I got this all messed up. 214. I didn't lose nobody. All 200 of y'all stayed, huh? Y'all are crazy. Yeah. All right, so that's what we're dealing with, guys. We're dealing with how one now affects the other, and Chris sees it. He couldn't see it in the beginning. He couldn't see that what he was doing was circumventing these SA cases into a place where, it could be a non-prosecution zone, right? I'm certain that someone said, okay, yeah, we'll file the report on the SA, but you got to stop now, right? You have to be quiet now, sir. You have to stop what you're doing online. You can no longer do what you're doing online and expect us to be helpful in these cases and seeing them through to justice, right? So what is Chris doing? Running around trying to clean up the environment and make it suitable for his brand of justice, right? This is just going to be Chris's brand of justice, right? Because what Chris is really worried about is just the initial conviction, guys. Look at the Michael Crow case. I have a feeling we may see Chris's work pop up in the Morphew case. That's all still to be seen, but right? Chris just worries about making sure he gets someone locked up the first time. He doesn't care if they get exonerated later, right? Because by the time the win gets reversed, it makes him no never mind. It's still a win, right? Yeah. Doesn't matter how dirty he played in that one. He did everything as dirty as he could to get that boy charged, and guess what? He did. Oh, he got him charged. But like Teflon, baby, it didn't stick. Didn't stick. Hoo-ah, didn't stick. So what do you say? Like, Chris is like a criminal's dream. Because guess what? Once a detective is breached like Chris M is, every time Chris M would pop up investigating a case that went through to trial, you could always bring up the Michael Crow case as an example of what he is capable of doing. And it immediately would probably immediately exclude Chris M's testimony from being credible. Immediately, right? I mean, immediately they would look at him like, okay, yeah. You've handed in fake testimony before, sir. So why should we look at this one any differently? If we start looking at this testimony you're handing in now, we could be in the same shoes as the county in San Diego that paid $7.6 million to the victims of Chris's bad prosecutorial work. Now, let me tell you why Chris's detective work was so bad. He had a boy locked up with his friends right after his sister got killed, and he couldn't even grieve. That family lost 2 kids. They lost 2 children due to that situation. And you want to know what? They don't forgive him. They don't forgive him for the mockery he made. I assure you of that. Anyways, guys, that's it. Thank you for the super chats, and thank you guys for listening to me ramble about the law and the jargon involved. Because what you're seeing right now, guys, is a crazy misrepresentation of how law works. They don't do this. They don't blast to the public that they got a case they're investigating before they blast it, right? So what does it do? Gives Don time to know when the heat's coming, so he can bust a move. I don't know. I couldn't say, because I'm not investigating that. All I can do is show you the repercussions of how one affects the other. You've made a knot out of this that you need more help with than you have to undo, sir. You've twisted this up so bad you can't untwist it. So, guys, remember, the absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. I only cursed 4 times during this whole segment. So, guys, if you have a problem with being triggered by Chris M, go to Chris M and comment in his comments. Stand down, Chris. Stand down, Chris. Thank you, Patty. Everyone, I'll talk about the petition a little bit later on. We'll show the progress that we've made on that, and we'll just kind of see where we go from here, guys. Kitty. All right, guys, I love all of you. CM blocked all of me. Yeah, he's dirty as dirty gets, man. Love you guys.